Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
Peace and blessings, family, and welcome again. I'm excited to be back with you all, and I'm very excited today because I have with me this dear sister. Sister, I'm going to ask you to pronounce your name so I do not mess it up, so I can get it right.
No problem. Xenia.
Xenia, that's pretty. What does that mean, Xenia?
It means flower of God. So it's actually a type of flower. And then the way it's spelled, yeah, it means flower of God.
So, Sister Xenia, tell me, how did you start your Xenia, but you're also known as the organic goddess? How did that journey start for you?
Well, I grew up in a Rastafarian slash Christian household. So we were always plant-based and using a lot of herbs and just really natural in our setting at home. So that was the first thing. Um, as I got older, I felt like there was a lot of things missing in regards to being able to take care of this woman body. Um, I had heavy cramps, heavy periods, a lot of confusion, and just not really understanding how to take care of myself. And I'm always the one to ask the question why and how and what. I was always in the library reading, just really trying to figure out how to function in this woman body. So, in my early 20s, I actually got food allergies. So
Mm.
all of a sudden, I was just breaking out with hives, and I, it was crazy. So I went to the allergist, and that's when I really just took time to educate myself. I stopped eating the things that I was allergic to, and then I started reading um, Heal Thyself by Queen Afua. My mom gave me the book. She's like, "Oh, here, you can read this." And I'm like, "Why you didn't show me this before?" So anyway, I was really grateful for that book because it just really opened the door to so much. I mean, a lot of us know Queen Afua. She is an
Mhm.
amazing author, women's rights, women's health activist. And I feel like when I opened that book, all the goodness that I needed to receive in that time period was given to me or granted to me in a sense. I went through Sacred Woman Houston, Rites of Passage. I went through Sacred Goddess Temple, Rites of Passage, and just continued to refine myself in regards to making sure I understood how to function in this woman body.
Mhm.
And of course, there was a bunch of stuff along the way, but those were like the pinnacle moments working with Dr. Akua Gray in Houston, getting to meet Queen Afua, and then traveling to Antigua and Jamaica and really just expanding my experience as a women's wellness advocate. So as I was helping myself, I was able to help others.
Right. So, where are you originally from?
Originally from Chicago, Chicago, Illinois.
Okay.
So born
So,
and raised in Chicago. Mhm.
and right now you're where?
Jamaica.
So, how did you get from Chicago to Jamaica? That's very different.
Yeah, it is. Well, my family is from Jamaica. So my mom's side of the family is Jamaican. Myself and my cousins, we're all like first generation Americans
Okay.
on both sides of the family, actually.
No.
So I'm a medical student. So I'm actually in my final year of medical school, and through my triumphs and challenges, I ended up here in Jamaica. So I had some really difficult things that I had to go through. And then eventually I decided to come to Jamaica and study here. So, yeah, it's kind of like home away from home.
So, we're just going to kind of build up a little bit. Let's go back a minute. And you said you had a chance to participate with Queen Afua. What was that like for you? To because she's a master. I mean, she's like the Queen Mother, like a, you know. What was that like working with Queen Afua, Queen Mother, Queen Afua?
Queen of Food is such a beautiful person. Like, I just felt so blessed to be in her presence. Um, Seeing her in the book, seeing her online really doesn't speak to her immaculateness. So I had already done the rites of passage through Sacred Woman Houston, and I was trying to get her to come down to teach us her yoga routine. So through that, one of my Sacred Woman sisters organized an event, a weekend event. Queen Afua came to Houston. We got to meet her, and after that event, she offered to allow us to come onto her calls to listen into how she teaches the Sacred Woman rites of passage. So we got to go through the rites of passage a second time with Queen Afua. I
Mm.
also did a wellness consultation with her in person, which was amazing. She used the pendulum to check all my energy centers, and at the time I had my youngest daughter, so I was nursing, and she's like, "All right, so you can't take any herbs, but you can do this." And just she prescribed a 21-day green fast, and just doing that was just amazing and a blessing. So I'm
Mm.
just really giving thanks for that opportunity. Um, she's a beautiful person, inside and out. There's no doubt
Mm.
about it.
So from there, you also mentioned the Sacred Goddess Temple. What
Yes.
is that?
So Sacred Goddess Temple is encompassing the teachings of Sacred Woman and then other Kemetic metaphysics teachings. So essentially, it's still building on the concept of divine feminine rites of passage. So Dr. Akua Gray, she formulated a program that is still rites of passage concept and format. And then you have the 12-week rites of passage, which is the divine feminine, and then you have a mastery program, which is a 2-year program. So I did both. Hmm.
So what was that experience like going through that? Are you still a part of that, correct?
Yes. So I actually have a chapter in Antigua. So I'm a co-founder of the Sacred Goddess Temple Antigua. which is a branch of Sacred God Temple as a whole. Yes. Um, so with that, just the opportunity to go through a rites of passage is something that I can't really explain with words because it's a spiritual journey. And when you go through a spiritual journey, there's something that happens in the ethers. And it really just forces you to look at yourself and say, okay, I have to really take responsibility for these things. I have to face some things that I don't want to face. And then I have to let go of a lot of stuff that I thought was okay and not really okay. And then, of course, learning the essentials of being able to care for this woman body. It was just a really strong foundation for me, and just like confirming the way I think, confirming my intuition, and then just really integrating what we had been taught as children.
Right on. So I know you said you had up the sacred goddess there, where you are in
Yeah,
Jamaica, correct?
yeah.
So
So
I love
Antigua.
this logo. I love this logo. It just looks so beautiful. So before we get in to your pink nectar, you saying this sacred woman body. Um, I guess the question I want to ask is, what is that? Let me explain that. So now we're in the era of people thinking being a woman is about lipstick and makeup, and like anybody can be a woman. You know, but you're basically talking about how to care for that body that when you come here as a woman or female. What is that? Because usually people try to make everything so generic and so fluid, and you know what I'm saying? But we know all of us have
Yeah,
to come through that sacred, portal, as I call it.
yeah.
And then we never talk about caring for that. You know what I mean? What do you mean when you say that?
Well, there was just so much missing in my upbringing. Like I had to go out searching. I didn't have that. Let's sit down and talk about your menstrual cycle. Let's sit down and talk about the fluctuations in your mood, the fluctuations in the way your body develops and will change over time. And that was really a struggle for me because I was in a lot of physical pain. And the physical pain was becoming emotional pain and mental pain. So
Mm,
being able to connect with that feminine energy and really just embracing it and saying, okay, it's okay to cry. It's okay to be soft with your speaking because I never really had this robust kind of voice.
mhm,
It's okay to want to dress up in a sexy or a sensual way. Like it's okay to admire your body and adorn your body and your, just your being in general. It's okay not to want to argue or talk loudly. Like there's
mhm.
just so much that comes with being embracing the feminine. And I think that's really what it was about for me because it was just a lot of ignoring it. My mom is very sensual, but there was certain things that she would ignore or kind of nitpick at, and I was just like, I don't understand why. This is how we came. Like, I can't really change this so easily.
Right.
And I'm in physical pain, and how do I deal with that? So I just found over time that a lot of stuff that women deal with is preventable with a little more care.
Mm.
We have a tendency to just give, 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 give. We pour out everything from our cups, and then we're just left dry, figuratively and literally.
Mm.
So my thing is just always giving back to myself first, always pouring into my cup first. And when I get to the point where I feel like, okay, now I can help you guys,
Right on.
Then I start helping. But I always make sure that I do something every day towards just pouring into my cup, making sure I'm eating right, making sure I'm resting, making sure I'm doing the things that I like doing, um, and then still embracing that masculine part of myself, still being able to be firm and be steadfast in my practices, just the masculine aspects. But the biggest thing is just really embracing that feminine energy and not ignoring it.
Mm, mm. So I see that the Sacred Goddess Temple of the Divine Feminine has a rites of passage coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about that so some of us can get
Ab-
to that?
Absolutely. So every year, so we're based in Antigua, but now with the pandemic, everything is online.
Hmm.
So we're starting in February. We usually start the first Sunday in February. It's a 13-week program, and the women go through a series of temples, and they're taught about eating, about their womb care, prayer, meditation, how to adorn themselves, how to clean their space, how to use crystals, oils, etc. Similar to what Queen Afua teaches. And then we incorporate the meta nurture. We incorporate tapping the power within by Yanla Van Zant. So they do head blessing rituals. A lot of discussions and journaling. And then in the end, they have a rites of passage ceremony. And of course,
Hmm.
that just really solidifies what they learned. We give them a charge, we give them our blessings, we give them gifts. And then their responsibility is to give back to their community and then in some way give back to the organization.
Right on, right on. So, family, I'm sharing this on the screen, but this sister's information, as you see, is at the bottom of the screen. It'll be throughout. Contact her. I'm pretty sure, as some of you are watching this, you know you got the time now that you thought you didn't have before. Learn something about your sacred, divine, feminine self. Like I'm all for this kind of work. So, please, please, please contact this sister and reach out. Sis, let's talk a little bit about your Pink Nectar beauty space. Tell us about that.
So Pink Nectar came about because everybody is always calling me, Zen, what I do for this? Zen, what I do for this? And I'm like, okay, I have to be able to monetize this. I have to be able to reach more people. Because I know if these 10 people are calling me, there's 250, 250,000, 1 million. There's countless women that need the same assistance.
Hmm.
Basically, I was just creating the next wave of the women's wellness movement, and then of course putting my own spin on it because I still feel like there's some little areas that need to be highlighted, like sexual health and what to do during pregnancy, after pregnancy, um, just different little things to make sure that we're not missing things in the gaps, like not letting things fall through the gaps. So I created a wellness community. So I do one-on-one consultations, and then we also have goddess gatherings where I teach different courses. So one of the courses I was teaching last summer was how to use a body butter. So I also have body products. Um, one thing that one thing that was really special for me growing up with my mother is that she would always use like the most rich oil she could find. So we always use like organic cocoa butter or some kind of oil, and my skin was always just flawless. I have
Mm.
3 children. I don't have any stretch marks because I just really kept up with that practice. And I was like, I wonder, I shouldn't even say wonder. I know that there's other people that would appreciate natural products that's going to ensure that their body stays intact and that they maintain their confidence. So I also incorporated the products aspect. So with how to use the body butter, we went over how to set up your sanctuary time, which is just your me time, things to put in your bathroom or your bedroom that are going to help you maintain your body on the outside. And then, of course, how to just give yourself that time and space to say, okay, I'm shutting out the world. This is for me. And just really being adamant about, again, pouring back into self. So it was a really nice experience. I have some reviews on my Facebook page where some of the ladies are talking about their experience with the Goddess Gathering. But I just really look forward to teaching more of the courses and really reaching out to more women to ensure that we're not falling through the cracks.
Right on, right on. So the Organic Goddess, is that a brand as well? Or
Actually, that's like my little nickname.
okay, okay. I thought maybe you
Yes.
had herbs or that's just beautiful. I like that. Like, you know, seeing people
Yeah, I
move
just
more
really
to that.
spent a lot of time. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I
No, that's
spent a
okay.
lot of time just studying and learning about different herbs, learning about different home remedies. And my fiance, he's like, "You're the organic goddess." So I
Right on,
just use that term because it's just really all encompassing with everything that I do.
right on, right on. Well, sis, look, I thank you so much for making time to talk with me, and hearing a little bit about your origins, if you will, your origin stories. And then a lot of people are familiar with Queen Afua and Dr. Gray, and now people will be familiar with you. So I love to see people picking up tradition and carrying it on to make sure there'll be more of us and changing our whole status of living. Um, with this pandemic, is there anything that we should be doing to help get us to that sacred goddess? What kind of things should we be tuning into more now that we're in this new paradigm shift in living to care for that sacred goddess in us, that divine feminine?
Honestly, I strongly believe that it's a cry from nature and that we just really need to connect with nature a lot more. If you notice, I use a lot of outdoor pictures.
Mhm.
I'm just really doing my best to put energy into the earth. The property I'm on, we're basically restoring the property. There's a bunch of fruit trees that we're caring for and making sure we bring back to life, planting new things and paying attention to what the weather is doing, paying attention to what the terrain is doing, etc. But again, I think it's just really a cry from nature to us to say, please pay attention to me and come out and see what's happening.
Mm. Um, what's one or two ways that we can do that? Like something we could just do immediately.
I'd say plant something, plant anything, and then just do something fun outside. Go to the beach, go to a river, go for a walk, anything outside, and just observe. Sometimes for me to stay present, I'll just do what I call mindfulness meditation. I just look at the trees, look at the leaves, look at the birds, look at the lizards, all kind of stuff. Some stuff I don't like, but at the same time, like look how they interact with us, and look how we interact with them. Look how they live, and how we could be all living together. So yes,
Right on,
get out in nature and plant a tree.
right on. I like that. Thank you. I think it may sound simple, but some of us need that. It's like back in the day when elders used to make you have a seat and that would like kill you. Like, but you know what I mean? At the same time, it was really helping you to tap into yourself, because you had to seem like kind of harsh, but it was really simple. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you have to kind of
Yeah.
give us direction. Like one of the simplest things you could do is stand out in nature, or, pay
Mhm.
attention to nature. Don't be so
Mhm.
afraid of nature. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
we really need to be appreciative, for this earth, because it takes care of us. You know what I mean? So we have to do a better job
Absolutely.
of taking care of it. Like, you know what I mean? We haven't always done our best at that. For
Mhm.
young girls, what is something that you think we should spend more time on doing with younger girls?
Well, teaching them about what's to come. So I mentioned that I have children. I have two daughters. My oldest daughter, when she turned 10, I said, Zilla, your body's gonna start changing soon. We're gonna start preparing, make sure that you have your supplies for when your menstrual cycle starts. And when her body started changing, she came to me. She's like, "Oh,
Mm,
mommy," and telling me what's going on with her. And I just felt so blessed because I'm like, okay, that's the first step. Next step, menstrual cycle. And later on, open conversations about relationships, what to expect. Right now, they're going through their phase of looking in the mirror, getting dressed up. They gotta look cute. They're doing their hair, makeup, all types of stuff. And they're itty bitty, 11 and 9. So, I just
mm,
allow them that space to explore. Um, I help them dress up sometimes. And then I just also let them have that exploration time. But just really being open to the idea that these things are coming and not coming from a place of fear, but coming from a place of educating and teaching them to be responsible.
right on. What about, I put a picture up of the women. It looked like it could have been at one of your rites of passages, with a group of women and embracing each other. So one of the things we see a lot of, because I work a lot with young girls in particular, and we have a lot of discussions. And one of the discussions that come up a lot is how much you see women fighting each other on television.
Oh
So that's
gosh, yes.
normally an image we don't get to see. The image that I just had up of the women, which I really love that image. I really love that image, that we don't get to see a lot of that. How do you suggest that we bring this kind of energy to younger people? Because usually when you get to this stage, for some of us, we're older and we find our way. But how do we bring something like this to younger women?
Well, there's information out there. So I'm familiar with Project Butterfly.
I'm
I'm
familiar
not
with that.
remembering the
It's in
name of the,
Chicago.
yeah. So
Hmm. I
yeah.
think it's
So I know
Naomi
she
or
has a
something like
book
that.
for the, yes. Um, I think we just need to take the initiative for them to make sure that they do have a way to get to that before they get to the destructive stages.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think just our generation, the older group, needs to really just take that initiative for the younger girls and implement those things. I, hmm
Yeah. How important is culture to your goddess, or to what you have was called inner bliss? How important is culture to that?
Well, it is the foundation for me. It's not a requirement though, because I don't like the idea of exclusion. Because as soon as you start excluding people, we continue to lose. And that was
Hmm.
something that I wanted to really just emphasize. Like, you see, I'm wearing my little T-shirt because I'm like, this is just me. Sometimes I'll
Right.
have my African print on. Sometimes I'll have my business casual on, and sometimes I have my little dance hall outfit on. So I just really like the idea of, yes, we acknowledge where we come from and we, take the time to read about it, explore, etc. But it's not an absolute requirement because not everybody's gonna get that teaching from early. Like, I
Right
know
on.
I had the privilege of getting those teachings early, but not everybody gets that. And that doesn't mean that you can't reconnect.
Right on, right on. I know when I'm working with a lot of young girls, one of the things they recognize a lot of in school is that when they're working with other youth from ethnic groups, they were saying that there's something about they always know their culture, like they because they speak another language, or there's always something that comes up about the culture. It's not necessarily a uniform, but it's in the little things that we do. Like for sometimes for us, it's hair. Like I
Yeah.
love to see how we rock our hair. Like I'm always like, God, how'd you do that? Like, oh my, like I said, now there's all kind of different ways of braiding your hair. So I'm always like, man, what kind of braids are those? But
Yes.
it's always this thing around what makes culture. You know what I mean? And how important is that to wellness? You know what I mean? To connecting with that inner goddess. You know what I mean? How important is
Hmm.
that?
Honestly, I just think that depending on where we're from, the culture is just gonna look different. Like I said, I'm from Chicago. My family is from the Caribbean, so I got a lot of that in the house. And then when I went out the house, that's when I started hearing about Al Green and all these different American singers and stuff. And I'm
Right.
like, who is that? Y'all don't know Bob Marley? But essentially, um, sometimes it's a way to discriminate, and sometimes it's a way to uplift. So to me, it's a really fine line. So I try
Mm,
not to really emphasize that, but just understand what people are bringing to the table per se.
right on. Right on. So I'll give you another example, waist beads. So
Yes.
sometimes I see a lot of girls wear waist beads, but they don't know for some people that's a part of their culture. It's not like something that you wear like as a fashion statement. I mean, we do now because it's America. We always taking somebody's stuff, making it look like, no, I just discovered this. But so we do a lot of talking about culture in terms of things you may see, but it's like, what's the origins of that? Like you may want to ask, you know, like why they wear that, or just to make sure you may learn
Absolutely.
something about yourself. So that's what I mean when I say culture. Like,
Hmm.
or if you meet people from certain countries, certain names have meanings. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's why I was like, what does your name mean? I think because it's also what you learn. Like, God, your name means beautiful flower. That's incredible. Like that just changed the whole perception of the way I saw you. But that's about
Hmm.
knowing about yourself. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
That's what I mean when I say that. When I think goddess, when I think Queen of Afua, I
Hmm.
just think of beauty and softness and spiritual baths, like and
Hmm.
eating healthy,
Hmm.
raw food, like all of that to me is a culture.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
Absolutely.
Whether if you're in Africa, if you're in the Caribbean, the United States, to me, that's every time I meet someone who follows that, and I've been in Africa, I've been all over the place. They have the same almost kind of aura that's like around them culturally, like the way that they eat,
Yes.
that sometimes the clothes they wear, the way they present themselves, the
Yes.
softness, it's
Yes.
like, wow. You know what I mean? Like that's a culture in itself. You know what I
There
mean?
is a rich, yeah, there is a richness to it, and I do agree with that. I just wish it was more visible earlier on.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I had the privilege of just being in the household. Like my mom was a dancer at Montu Dance Theater. She's a Caribbean folk dancer. My dad is a musician. And
Wow.
we just really had a rich culture when it came to that. And then, of course, they're from the Caribbean. So it was just a
Mm-hmm.
lot. Like, we were very diverse. Um, Again, people came to our house and they were learning all types of stuff. I've run into people and they're like, "Wow, you taught me so much." And I'm like, "I didn't even know I knew so much."
Right
But
now.
it does give you a sense of empowerment and a little bit of a status per se, because it's like you have a grounding. You have something to be grounded
Mm-hmm.
in. Hmm.
Right on. Well, sis, thank you so much. I mean, if you are watching, please check out this sister's website, email her, support her. So I'm really big about supporting folks. Do you work at all with any kind of herbs or anything around diet. Like I have lots of friends who are going to plant-based, and it's a little different when you do plant-based and you understand how seasoning work. It's different when other people do plant-based and you're like, yeah, but this don't taste right.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I
It's a
agree.
difference.
I agree.
So making greens, and it's like, because I love greens, but I learned how to make greens without any meat. That at first it was kind of hard because I was like, yeah, this is disgusting. But then, I got with somebody that was like, girl, you gotta use the smoked paprika. Like, they were like trying to tell like there's ways of getting smoky flavor without having to use meat. But you have to like know
Right.
seasoning, spices, and things that are good for you and things you don't want to use. You know what I mean? Do you have anything like that?
Yes, actually, I do, because I did have a struggle when it came to changing the way that I eat.
Mhm.
And then just even preparing food in general. That's when I went to reading the books, taking classes, watching videos. But that is something that I do incorporate in the Pink Nectar Goddess Gathering. I call it Nutritional Balance. While I do advocate for plant-based, it's not an absolute requirement to be vegan, or I'm not trying to persuade people to be vegan, but just to understand that you can have fun, you can bring your
Mhm.
traditional foods to a plant-based lifestyle with just a little tweaking, a little studying, and an open mind.
Right on. Here's your information again, family. Reach out to the sister. This is the organic goddess. I love this, Sister Xenia, and reach out to her and support her. Go to her website, send her an email, call her. She's a great resource, and support her. Do you have any parting words, sis?
I'm just grateful for the moment. Thank you so much. It's like everything is just in divine timing. So I give thanks for you. Thanks for having me. And I appreciate the moment.
Thank you so much, sis. Hold on just a minute. Let me in the video. Okay, family, I shall see you all next week with more information. Take care.
Peace and blessings.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.